What is going on, everybody? And in this video I'll be taking a look at the recent summer award vehicle, the Mazda RX-7 Turbo Sakura Edition. I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually really liking this car so far for the couple of races I have done in it. What's also very cool is this car is actually going to be really rare because the only other RX-7 in this year is going to be the one that you have to do from the hobbies over here, which is the 10th anniversary, which I honestly have barely even touched this vehicle. But I'm happy to see another version of this car in the game, and to my surprise it's actually really good as well. We do have a fair share of the Mazdas from the other summits, like this one here. We have the Thunderwave edition, then the RX-8 Gold edition over here, which honestly all these cars seem to actually be pretty dang decent for the most part, even way better than their other counterparts. I also feel like the Sakura edition is going to be in this category as well, because from what I could see, this car seems to be really good, and it's actually going to be better than probably a lot of the other street cars in the game as well. It's kind of funny how the summit cars are a lot better than the regular ones, but then again, the summits are normally pretty dang intense to actually get them. Now, if you guys might have been wondering, by the way, the customization on this vehicle is going to be very limited, which honestly does make a lot of sense because I'm really liking the detail on this car overall. The body kit fits it really well, plus those gold rims look really nice on this thing as well. I do want to mention, by the way, guys, is if you do choose to put a livery on this vehicle, you're not going to be able to get rid of the tree and all that's on it because, well, obviously that's going to be part of the car there, but you can add like different colors to it technically by adding like the create livery and all that and making the whole car black or something like that. You could do something like that to it, but personally I'm going to end up leaving this thing stock because I'm loving the look of this car so far, and having an old RX-7 in this besides the one that's in the hobbies is pretty awesome. I'm kind of glad they built upon that car and made like another version of it. But nonetheless, let's go do an outside look of this vehicle. Then I want to take it on a top speed run to see what it can actually get to and how it might compare to some of the better street cars for that matter. Then we definitely have to jump into a street race and really test out its overall performance in there. So now, taking an outside look at the Mazda RX-7, I'm not going to lie, the first thing I actually noticed about this vehicle is going to be that rotary idling because it honestly sounds really good. Let's take a listen. But besides the engine sound on this car actually sounding really good, we can all agree they did a really good job with the overall detail of this vehicle. I mean, I'm really liking the body kit on this car. It actually fits it very well. We can all agree that sometimes the car's body kits really do not look that good, and this one actually looks really nice on there. Plus, I really do like these rims as well on the vehicle, plus that pink accent going around, plus the carbon fiber, and that really nice wing on the back there, plus the exhaust. I think this car does look really good. Then we're obviously going to have those white seats in there. Now, let's take a look at the interior, which should be pretty detailed, even though this car is going to be from the 80s, so it's not going to have like a digital dash or anything like that. But I do think it does look pretty nice as well, and I do believe that middle piece there is blank, unless I'm completely tripping out. Then we're going to look down over here. Obviously, like I mentioned before, the seats are white there. You can see like the stitching on them, so there is some detail to this. I don't see anything on the middle part of the car there, so nothing's actually lighting up or anything. Basically just blank, which does honestly make sense. I mean, they can only really do so much, and obviously the RPM and then the miles per hour is going to work. Then we're also going to have that little boost thing down there that does work as well, so that's a nice little touch of detail. But I really do think they did a great overall job with this car. Let me know what you guys think about this car in the comments below, and let's go do that top speed run. Now let's go see what the top speed of the RX-7 actually is, and I honestly cannot lie, I'm really digging the rotary sound of this vehicle, plus the races I have done with it are honestly pretty impressive so far, which I'll get more into that when I actually test it out. But let's see what this car can get to. So I'm sure many players might be wondering, well, I actually did really well in the summit. I managed to get this car. Can it really be used in competitive racing and or other summits in the future? And to be honest, from what I've done and from what I can see with this car, I would actually say it's pretty dang good. I'm honestly pretty surprised with it. It handles very well. It has a really good engine sound, obviously. Plus, it seems like it's going to have a decent top speed at 243 miles an hour, which to some of the cars might not be the fastest like the Superleggera, but luckily, a lower top speed really will not make much of a difference with these vehicles. I mean, I've been running the Infiniti Q60. That car does 237 miles an hour, and I've still been getting insanely good times with it in races, so I really think it just depends on how the car actually handles and all that. Now, obviously, on a longer track, 240 miles an hour might be a bit of an issue like those US Speed Tour races if it's like mixed or something, but I do think the lower top speed will not really make or break one of these vehicles at all, and I do think the RX-7 is actually going to be a really good overall car to use if you guys did get this thing. Now let's jump into a race and really see how this vehicle does perform. Now jumping into the street race test with the RX-7, I've honestly noticed a couple of things about this car that I really do like. For one, I do love the sound of it. This thing looks and sounds amazing. I love what Ubisoft did with it, and it kind of makes me want to go back and use the one that was in the hobbies. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have actually ran the RX-7 in the hobbies. I don't think I've actually ever used that car, but nonetheless, this RX-7 does seem really good, and it is going to be a 5-speed, so if you guys are running manual, which I personally haven't had any issues with this car particularly, you know, downshifting into turns or trying to upshift into turns. Some of these cars could be kind of hard to drive, kind of like that, but that was honestly my fault to begin with. I do think the RX-7 is going to be pretty dang good even in manual, and to my surprise, I actually think this car could honestly race in future summits and or competitively. I mean, it seems like a really good vehicle overall. Sometimes the street cars really do lack in some areas, and like, well, they might have a lower top speed, or they might have less handling, or they have really bad stability. I feel like the RX-7 is going to be really good overall and like a good choice you can actually run on pretty much anything you want to. Now, is this car going to be slower than some of the top street cars? I would say it most likely will be. Like, don't try to compete with like a Porsche GT or like the Superleggera, but I do think this car can easily compete with some of the other vehicles you might be running in this class. And honestly, I've been trying to test out a lot more vehicles in the street class. I might end up running this car in summits. I just personally don't like running summit vehicles and or motor pass cars that not every player can get, because I don't really feel like that is fair to everybody. So I've been trying to run like neutral vehicles next week here, which is going to have a nice mix of street races and hypercar races. So I will most likely be using very weird cars in that. I might even try the regular RX-7 to see how that one might compare to this one. Let me know, by the way, guys, would you like to see a comparison from this one and the regular one in the hobbies? I could definitely do something like that. It would be kind of cool to see how they might compare to each other, because we can all agree sometimes these summit cars seem to be really good compared to regular ones. Like, my goodness, the regular RX-8 is honestly awful, and the Gold Edition is really good. Even the Thunder Wave is going to be better. You can definitely kind of see how sometimes the other vehicles might be better than others, which is going to make a lot of sense. It might mix up the variety. I do think a lot of players will definitely like this car overall, though, because the RX-7 definitely seems really good. One thing I did notice, though, is when trying to shift it, as I was mentioning before with it being a manual, is I did notice once in a while, depending on the turn, you might shift kind of weird. So if you guys want to get used to this, I recommend putting it in automatic. But besides that, this car is going to be a really good choice, and I definitely like what Ubisoft did with this Summit vehicle overall. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Sakura edition in the comments below, and here are my settings I'm currently running on this vehicle.